Okay, so welcome everyone. Sorry, I had to go pick my phone. Today is another day. We have about uh, last week we started with 15 questions. We couldn't finish the 15 questions. I think we were on question 8, which you see on your screen right now. So we are going to continue with that, and hopefully we should be able to finish with all those 15 questions. If you are able to finish on time or in time, and what will happen is that I'll pick one topic that I would want to explain quickly. And once I do that explanation, we can actually close the class. Okay, so because tomorrow is a working day for me and a school day for most of you. Thank you very much for being here. Before we start, can you like the video? And then if you're not a subscriber, kindly subscribe to the channel, because that's basically the only way you can say thank you to me. I'm trying to get my streaming. I'm trying to get my streaming online. I don't know why they are saying I don't. Okay. If you can hear me, just say hi so that I'll acknowledge that you are here. The weird names have started coming up. Swag Boy, Boy G5, whatever. Okay, so Denzel is here, Nadrumo is here. Can you say hi if you can hear me? If you can also hear me, just to confirm that the mic is working, just give me a thumbs up. If there's any breakage, give me thumbs down. But if everything is fine and you can hear me loud and clear, just give me a thumbs up. If you are closer to your phone and you want to draw attention to the class, to tell someone that the class has started, kindly just send a message to someone to join us quickly so that we can start. So the last question we paused that, okay, to continue today was about consecutive numbers. So today I'm going to take my time to actually explain what consecutive numbers are. And whilst I explain what consecutive numbers are, I'll use the opportunity to answer the question under consecutive numbers. It's really, really important that you like the video. We are 15, but I only have 6 likes. Come on, guys, be fair to me. So kindly like the video. You can also send your concerns through the chat. That's the reason why I went to pick my phone up, so that I can actually monitor whatever is going on by chat. But if there are any questions, if there are any misunderstandings I need to address relating to what we'll be doing today, you can actually send it via the chat. I really appreciate you guys being here. So without wasting time, we're just going to go straight to talk about the very first question, which was the last one we couldn't do last week. So let me just select a marker. So subscribe is very, very important. So today we want to talk about consecutive numbers. The word consecutive basically means in the order in which we count, okay? So the order in which we count our numbers. So our counting numbers are actually in a consecutive order, okay? Our counting numbers are actually in a consecutive order. Now, we have other types of consecutive numbers, but the popular ones are consecutive odd numbers. And then we also have what? Consecutive even numbers. The question we are to tackle, which is on your screen right now, talks about consecutive odd numbers. But before we even try or attempt to understand or solve this particular question, we need to know what consecutive numbers are. Now, for normal consecutive numbers, okay, normal consecutive numbers, as I said earlier, is basically our counting. Okay. So I think there's a video playing in the background. Let me just shut that off quickly. Okay. So sorry about that. So as I was saying, normal consecutive numbers are basically our counting numbers. So 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Okay. So once we understand that the normal consecutive numbers are normal counting numbers, we just have to look at the difference. Now, the difference between two counting numbers is 1. Okay. The difference between two counting numbers is 1. The difference between two counting numbers is what? 1. The difference between two counting numbers is what? 1. Okay. So to write consecutive numbers for particular counting numbers, and we don't know those counting numbers, consecutive numbers, if they state it and they don't say consecutive odd numbers, but they just say consecutive numbers, or they don't say consecutive even numbers and they state just consecutive even numbers, and basically means that they are referring to our normal counting numbers. And our normal counting numbers, we all know that the difference between them is 1. Okay, they come in intervals of what? 1. So if you want to state consecutive numbers, basically sometimes they'll say list 5 consecutive numbers. So 5 consecutive numbers were added, that kind of word problem. Now, what you need to do is that the first consecutive number is being represented by what? X. Okay, the first consecutive number is always represented by X. Now, the next one is represented by X plus 1. Okay, the next one is represented by X plus 1. Then the next one is also represented by X plus 2. This is the reason being that if I have my first counting number to be maybe 2, not my first counting number, but if I choose any counting number and I choose to start from 2, okay, it basically means that the next one is going to be 2 plus 1, which will give me 3. The next one is actually going to be 2 plus 2 to give me 4. And if I want to continue to be X plus what? 3. So the next one obviously is going to be 2 plus what? Because here the X here is 2. Okay, so we keep using the 2 to add to the numbers that we are using for our consecutive numbers. Okay, so the next one obviously, if it is X plus 3, is going to be 5, and so on and so forth. So that's basically normal consecutive numbers. So when questions are posed that find, okay, maybe the first 5 consecutive numbers are such that the seventh one, a sample question like this, that is what you need to do. Those are the solutions you need to write down and equate it to whichever number they've given you so that you can solve to find the value of X. Now, the value of X, when you find it, will is not probably, is actually the first consecutive number that you are dealing with, dependent on the question you've been given. Now, I want to look at consecutive number. And this type, we want to look at what the odd consecutive numbers or consecutive odd numbers. Okay, what are consecutive odd numbers? But before we talk about consecutive odd numbers, I want to explain what consecutive even numbers are, because most of us are actually familiar with even numbers compared to odd numbers. So let me explain what consecutive even numbers are. So consecutive even numbers are basically our way of arranging even numbers. So we know even numbers are numbers that are what's divisible by 2. So the very first even number is 2, followed by 4, 6, 8, and so on and so forth. Okay, now these are also even numbers. If I have 6, 12, 14, they are also even numbers. But if the word consecutive is attached to it, then it needs to follow a certain order. A certain order that the difference between those numbers that you presented are the same. So this is going to be 2, the difference is 2. This one to the difference is 2. So this one to the difference is 2. So this is actually a typical example of what consecutive odd numbers. Even though these 3 numbers that are written here are also odd numbers, so when we check their difference, they are more than 2, except for this one. This is 2, but this is 6. But even though they are odd numbers, the difference are not what? 2. So we can't term them as consecutive odd even numbers, even though they are what? Consecutive. Even though they are even numbers, we can't say they are consecutive even numbers. So consecutive even numbers, they need to have a difference of what? 2. Okay, so if you want to solve a question which is related to consecutive even numbers, the very first consecutive even number is represented by X, followed by the next one, which is represented by X plus 2, followed by the next one, which is represented by X plus 4, the next one, which is represented by X plus what? 6, and so on and so forth. So let's take an example. An example, if my very first consecutive even number is maybe 12. It basically means that the next one is going to 12. 12 is what? My x. So the next one obviously is going to be what? 14, because it is 12 plus 2, which is 14. The next one is going to be x, which is what? 12 here, because that's the very first one. It's going to be 12 plus what? 4, which is going to be 16. And then the next one is going to be 12 plus 6, which is going to be 18. So you realize that the intervals between them is what? 2. So these are consecutive what? Even numbers. Now the confusion really is consecutive odd numbers. The consecutive odd numbers, before I even explain what they are or give examples, they take the same form as what the odd numbers. And someone will say, why should they take the same form? A lot of students have been doing this confusion where consecutive odd numbers, they write x plus 1, x plus 3, and all that, because they think that you are supposed to add odd numbers. If it is consecutive odd numbers, you are supposed to add odd numbers to the variable x in order to be able to use them in your word problems. But that is not the case. Consecutive odd numbers are basically odd numbers that are arranged with a set intervals. And surprisingly, consecutive odd numbers will also have the same intervals as well too. Okay, so let's even start from the very first one. Okay, so let's say 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, those are odd numbers. 9 is also an odd number. Okay, not prime numbers. When we talk about odd numbers, we are not talking about prime numbers. Okay, prime numbers, the difference between odd numbers and prime numbers are odd numbers are basically numbers that are not divisible by 2, but prime numbers are numbers that have only 2 factors. This makes 2 very important because everything is surrounded by 2. Even numbers, odd numbers, prime numbers, they all talk about 2, or they all respect 2 when it comes to what they are. Okay, so when you look at the difference, this will be 2. When we look at this difference, 2, this is also 2. When we look at this difference, this is 2. When we look at this difference, this is also 2. Okay, even though one is even, the top, and the other is what? Odd. Their intervals, the difference are what? 2. Okay, so if you want to take an example, the same thing applies. Okay, before I even go to the example, the same thing applies. These are actually odd numbers. Okay, 15, 17. Okay, now even though they are odd numbers, their intervals are not what? 2. Okay, the differences are not 2. So we can't term them as consecutive even numbers. That's what we need to take note of. So having explained that, we can actually write the consecutive odd numbers as this. Okay, so and so on and so forth. So an example, if I decide to take 7 as my x, okay, it basically means that the next consecutive number is going to be 7 plus 2, which is 9. The next one is going to be 7 plus 4, which is 7 plus 4, which is 11. The next one is going to be, and so on and so forth. Okay, so once you understand that notion, we can actually list all the consecutive numbers from x to whatever. But basically, that is the concept surrounding consecutive odd numbers. If you've understood it and really appreciate it, can you like the video? Can you also subscribe to the channel? That is the only way you would say thank you for thank you to me, if I should say. So with this concept that I've just explained, we are quickly going to go into the question, and we're going to find out how we need to solve that particular question. Okay, we're going to look at how to solve that particular question. So without wasting time, we want to look at the steps to take to solve that particular question. So I'm going to move to a new screen. And when it comes to the consecutive odd numbers, please ignore what is down there. The assignment, there was supposed to be an assignment on the screen, but because I've used the screen to explain what consecutive numbers are, I'm going to use that screen to just do the solving. Or maybe let me just use the eraser to erase, because we need the question, we need to look on the question to be able to answer. So let me just erase quickly, even though this is going to take a long time. Maybe I'll just erase a portion of it. Yeah, so let me just erase quickly, and then we can take the question below. Today we did 7, it was 15, so we have 8 more. So we'll try and finish all the 8. Okay, we'll try and finish all the 8. And I'll promise to be a bit fast. Okay, so I think this is enough for us. Let me clean this one so that we can have, okay. Okay, thank you. Fantastic. So, yeah, so now that we have a working space, let me just draw a line here so that we don't get confused. Okay, fantastic. So now that we have a working space, we can quickly go ahead. The question says that two consecutive odd numbers are such that 7 times the smaller one subtracted from 9 times the bigger one gives us 144. Okay, so 7 times, that is 7 times whatever consecutive number that is. Okay, so multiplication. And then minus, okay, 9 times. So that is 9 times whichever second consecutive number that is. So when we have two consecutive odd numbers, it obviously means that you should just do the first two of the x plus 2, x plus 4. So the first two obviously is going to be x, and then the second one is going to be x plus 2. Now, when we are talking about smaller and bigger one, if they say the smaller one, it is obviously x. So if it is obviously x, they are saying that it's such that 7 times the smaller one is going to be 7. Let me clean this and write it well. 7 times what? The x. And then minus 9 times what? The bigger one, which is what? The x plus 2 is equal to 144. Okay? So before you start this, assuming this was given to you in an objective question, then what it means is that, please, this is multiplication, okay? Not another x. What it means is that you can go ahead and go straight and write this, but assuming it was given to you in a subjective, then it means you have to do some methodology. So the first methodology, you have to state that let x represent. So represent, I'm going to write it in a short form. Let x represent the smaller number, the smaller number, or the smaller odd number. And then what? X plus 2 represents the bigger. Okay, bigger number. Okay, so once we've established that, then we can go ahead and state that what? 7x is what? 7 times the smaller number. Okay, 7x means 7 times the smaller. And then 9 into brackets x plus 2 means what? 9 times the bigger number. When you subtract, it means you're going to bring subtraction between them, and then you're going to equate it. So you just have to write this down. Okay, you just have to write this down after you stated this preamble. So once we have that, it means what? 7x minus 9x plus 2, which is in the bracket, is equal to 144. So once it's equal to 144, the next thing is that we are going to actually do but let's read the question well. Let's read the question well, because if you don't read it well, the word subtraction, if we just take it in isolation, we might make a mistake. So two consecutive odd numbers are such that 7 times the smaller subtracted from, very good, subtracted from, it's good I caught this in time, subtracted from. Now let me quickly explain this. Let me use the opportunity to explain this. So let me just change the color of the marker so that I can write on the white space. Now when we say A subtracted from B, what it means is that it is not A minus B, okay? It is actually B being the main thing and A is being subtracted from B. So this is how we are supposed to write it. So in a nutshell, we've gotten the word problem. We've been able to change it to what? A mathematical statement. But now the issue is that it's not going to be in this form because they are saying that 7 times the smaller one was subtracted from. Okay, so I'm going to use the eraser to clean this. So please, when we are reading the question, let's kindly read it well. Let's not rush as I just did. Let's read the question well and understand it. Okay, so it becomes what? 9x plus 2 being subtracted from the smaller one, the 7 times the smaller one, will be equal to what? 144. Okay, 144. Once we have that, then we can go ahead and do our expansion, grouping like terms, and finding the value of x. Once we find the value of x, that will be the first what? Consecutive odd number. then we can just add 2 to it to get the next odd number, because the question says that we should find the two numbers. Okay, so now expanding becomes this minus 7x equals 144. Okay, so once we have that, it comes 9 minus 7x. 9x minus 7x equals 144. Okay, 144 minus what? 18. I'm going to bring this here so that we can solve. This will give us 2x equals what? 126. Okay, 2x equals 126. We divide both sides by 2. Once we divide both sides by 2, what it means is that we are not going to cancel, but we all know what will happen. And this obviously is going to give us 63. Okay, so it gives us 63. Once it gives us 63, okay, there's nothing in the chat section. Once it gives us 63, this is actually the very first consecutive odd number, okay? Which means that it didn't actually start from the very first one. If you were to say, okay, tell me the first 5 odd numbers. We didn't start from that. We started from an odd number, but it depends on what the question is demanding for, especially with the word problem that has been presented. So in this case, the word problem, this is an odd number, and this is the very first one relating to the question that has been given. So the next one is going to be x plus what? 2. Okay, so which means we now know x plus 2. So once you state that the next odd number is x plus 2, you state that where x is what? 63. So it becomes 63 plus what? 2, which will give us 65. So then the question was that find what? The two consecutive. So you can now state that since the word problem, the two numbers are 63 and what? 65. And you realize that 63 and 65 are actually odd numbers. 2 cannot what? Divide them. If you have any question, can you let me know so that if I have to go over quickly, I go over. But if there's no question, then we can go ahead and look at the next question. Okay, so we are moving to the next screen. Oh, there's another. Okay, I actually cleaned it. So I'm not going to give an assignment related to this. So I'm going to move to the next question. So the next question is actually vectors, okay? It's actually vectors. And when you look at the vectors closely, vectors mixed with what? Variables, okay? So it means that we are going to be doing some form of, how do I say it? Some form of algebra sort of thing, okay? So we would have to be separating the x components and then solving them to find the value of x. And we would have to separate the y components, solving them to find the value of x. The values we find, now they are saying that the we should find the components of m. When they say find the components of m being a vector, it means you should find a single what? X components which represents m and the y component which represents m. Now when we find the value of x and y, we basically have to substitute it into what? Whatever has been given to us to be equal to m in the question. So without wasting time, we are going to look at that. So the very first one is we are finding the value. So value of what? X and what? Y. Okay, so we are finding the value of x and y. That's the very first thing we want to look at. Okay, so someone is saying they can't see the question well. So I'll read it out to you. It is if m equals, so it's a vector. Okay, so let me quickly see if I can write the question out here. So m equals 2x plus 1, and then 2 minus 3, and then we have n equals 2x plus 1, and then we have 2 minus 3y, and then we are saying that m plus n. So this is the tricky part. M plus n equals what? 2x plus 1, and then what? 2 minus 3y. Okay, and now they are saying we should find the value of x and y, okay, and then we should find the components of n. I'll be writing that very soon. So we are going to go ahead and find the value of x and y. Now to find the value of x and y, let me quickly check the chat section and make sure no one is has any issue. So since no one has an issue, we are quickly going to go ahead to solve, okay, but I think the question here has an issue because let me quickly refer to it. This is supposed to be 2017. 2017 it's objectives. Let me quickly check from the textbook. 2017 question 6a. Okay, so this is not supposed to be there, it is repeating. So the right thing is that n is supposed to be equal to 6 negative 8. Okay, and then n plus m is supposed to be equal to 9 negative 12. So I'm going to clean what I have in the blue ink and then do that. I think I repeated it. These are actually images when I was creating this thing. So I think I pasted it. Okay. So we have 6 negative 8 and then negative 12 and then the x is 9. Okay, so this is actually what we have. Now what it means is that if we take m plus n, it should be equal to what? 9 negative 12. That's what this means. Okay, so it basically means that if I take this and I add it to what? This, the n vector, I should get 9 negative 12. So I'm going to do just that. So 2x plus 1 and then what? 2 minus 3x. Then we are going to add and we will end up getting 6 minus what? 8, all being equal to 9 minus 12. Okay, so once we have that, what it means is that we are quickly, let me change the color of the marker. We'll quickly, because we want to find x and we also have to find y, we'll quickly pick them linearly and then solve. So we are solving for x. Okay, so solving for x, quickly we got x, 2x plus 1 plus 6 equals what? 9. So 1 plus 6 will actually give us 2x plus what? 7 equals what? 9. And then we are going to go ahead to do 9 minus what? 7, because this 7 is positive when it goes to the other side as well. So this will give us 2. We divide both sides by 2, and then x is actually going to be equal to 1. Okay. And then we are going to go ahead to look at the y. So I'm going to change the color for y. So the color for y is green. So we're going to pick the linear equation in that. So for y is going to be 2 minus 3x, 2y, 2 minus 3y plus. Let me know with the thumbs up if the stream is working. It's supposed to work. Okay, I think it's back now. Sorry about that. Okay, so as I was saying, so that is it. So we'll quickly send the negative 6 to the other side. Okay, it becomes positive. We'll have negative 3. And then this will actually give us negative 6 because I owe 12 cedis. And then when I pay, I have 6 cedis. So when I pay, I'll still be owing 6 cedis. And then I have negative 3. I'll divide both sides by negative 3. Okay, so this negative will cancel this negative. And then 3 will cancel 3, even though you're not supposed to cancel. Then this negative will also cancel this negative. Okay, so I'm doing this for visual purposes, but in exams, you are not supposed to cancel. So this gives us, this 3 will also cancel. So y equals 6 divided by 3. And we know 3 will go into itself 1, 3 will go into 6. How many times? 2 times. Okay, so for the values of x and y, you can see that the values of x and y are x equals what? 1 and y equals 2. Okay, then the second question says that we should find the components of what? Components. Why is the software becoming slow? Sorry about components. This is P. Components of M. So components of M basically, assuming M is M from the question is 2x plus 1. I hope the stream is working. Okay, yeah, I think it's working. So 2 minus 3y. This is our M. Now we know the value. Let me change the color of the marker. we know the value of what? X, and we know the value of Y. So wherever we see Y, we are going to fix in 1. Wherever we see X, we are going to fix in 1. Wherever we see Y, we are going to fix in 2. Okay, so this means that this is going to be into bracket, which is a parenthesis, 2 into bracket 1 plus 1. And then we have 2 minus 3 multiplying what? 2. Okay, so we'll simplify this. This will give us 2 because it's multiplying plus what? 1, which will give us 3. And then we have 2. This will give us negative 6. Okay, negative 6. Negative 6. You have 2 cedis, but you owe 6 cedis. So when you pay that 2 cedis, you still be owing negative 4. And that is basically our answer. Okay, so basically that is how we solve this kind of questions. I think with this one, I'm going to give it an assignment. Okay, so you do that assignment. I'll hopefully tell you when you have submitted, but if you have the answer to the assignment, every single student is actually supposed to comment the answer in the comment section. Since you've signed in with your names, I can see your names here. Right after the class, you can just do it quickly and then look for the video and then post in the comment section the answer. Okay, so this is the assignment. The assignment actually says, let me see. Okay, so if a vector A equals 2m plus 3, and then 3 minus 4m, no, 4t, sorry, let me change that, 4t, okay, 4t, and then b equal 1 minus 3m, and then we have 5t plus 2. And a minus b is equal to negative 7, negative 8. I find the values of m and t. Then I find the components, okay? Find the components of b, okay? Find the components of b. Okay, so someone is requesting that I use a brighter color, so I'll be doing that. Sorry about that. So so it means that the question I wrote you can't actually see. So let me trace quickly. So that's a brighter color. 2m plus what? 3. So kindly do it and then send the answer in the comment section. Okay, kindly do it and then post the answer in the comment section. Every single person should do that. I know the reason why I'm saying that. So those who are not here, if you are in any group, you can kindly inform them. Okay, so this one says find the value of m and t. Okay, it's just similar to the first one. Let me know in the chat section if the color I'm using is okay for you. Okay, so just these 2 sub questions. If the color, the lemon, green, or whatever is okay for you, can you give me a thumbs up so that I can use that the yellow throughout the lesson? Okay. So once we've established that, we can move to the next question. So the next question is actually this one. And this actually presented itself in 2017. It's an interesting question. There are 2 ways to solve this. Some will actually go all the way to find the area of the full circle. Let me change the color. So the color that you are saying is not bright. I think is okay on the right. We'll go ahead to find the full area of the circle and also find the area of the triangle and do some subtraction. Others will also find just the semicircle and then find the area of the triangle and then do and then do what? Some form of subtraction. Okay. So we will quickly choose a marker, and then we are going to go ahead. We are basically going to use the semicircle. Okay, we'll use a semicircle, and then they are actually saying that we should find the total area of the shaded portion. So which is this, the shaded portion, the one on top of the how do you call it, the triangle. So if I should draw that here, pardon my drawing, is horrible, I know. Let me see, let me try again. Let me see if I can get some accurate circle. We're not be eating apple, that's why. If you don't eat apple, you can't draw a circle with your free hand. So this is how the diagram looks like. It's actually, the circumference is actually smooth compared to mine. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm not using my math software, so I can't really do the drawing. So they are saying we should find the shaded portion. Okay, this is the radius, and this is 14 centimeters. And that's the only thing they gave us. I'm guessing that's the only thing you're supposed to give us. Okay, that's the only thing you're supposed to give us. So if that's the only thing you're supposed to give us, then it basically means that in the diagram, the chord there is actually, how will I even say it? The chord there is actually the same. So it means that the height will also be 14. Okay, the height will also be 14. So you see, the confusion here is that once they didn't give you the height, the chord, the height is also the same as what the radius. Why? Because the radius is actually, if I have this small circle, if the thing is going this way, the radius, this is also radius, this will be radius, this will also be radius. Okay. So even if they don't give you the height, you should be able to find the height. The height will also be what? 14. Okay. So there are two ways, as I said, there are two ways to solve this. The first one is just take the most important part and then you solve. Okay, which is going to be basically a semicircle, and you're subtracting, how do you call it, the triangle area from it. Or you find the whole circle and then you find the area of the triangle and then you do some subtraction. Okay, so we are going to do both. We are going to use both methods. Okay, but I don't really think that you should find the area of the circle, because at the end of the day, it's actually going to waste your time. The more pressing thing is that maybe if you don't know the formula for finding the area of a semicircle, then you don't have a choice than to find the area of what's the circle, then you divide it into two equal parts. So you are going to divide it into 2 by 2, and then the half will be the area of the semicircle. Then you use the semicircle to solve it. So let's assume that if you want to know the formula for finding the area of a circle, the area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, the area of a circle is pi r squared. Then the area for finding the area, the formula for finding the area of a semicircle is half of that. So half of what? Pi r squared. Okay, half of pi r squared. We are not dealing with circumference, so it's not going to be 2 pi r or anything. We are dealing with what? Area. Okay, area is the one with the square. When it comes to the formulas of the circle, area is the one with the square. So let's take note of that. So it's either you use this, when you are done, then you go and divide it by 2 or multiply it by half, or you go straight away to use this one. Okay, so we have to find two things. We have to find the triangle, and let's look at the formula for finding the area of a triangle. So half base times what? Height. Okay, so half base times height basically is the area for a triangle. Okay, so two things you need to do is either you find this and then divide it by 2, and then you find this one and you do some subtraction, or you go straight away to find this and then you subtract this from it. So let's quickly dive deep into that. So we are going to find the area. I'm going to do the two methods. Okay, so finding the area, the question told us to take pi to between 2/7. So that's what we are going to do. We'll take pi to between 2/7. So we are going to find area of circle. Okay, So we have pi r squared, and we know our radius to be, so we can state that where r equals 14 centimeters, and we know pi, where pi equals 22/7, so you can also state that 22/7. Then we'll start, so 22/7 times what? 14 times what? 14, because the square then means what? R, we have R multiplying itself, so it is 14 times 14, okay? Not 14 or 2 times 14, okay? So once we have that, 7 will go into cell 1, 7 will go here 2 times. So we have 22 times 2 times what? 14. And that should give us 616 centimeters square. The square is important, okay? So this is actually, so this is actually 161 centimeters square. So if this is 161 centimeters square, take note that it is actually the area of the full circle. Okay, it's the area for the full circle. So once it is the area for the full circle, what it means is that we are quickly going to divide it by 2 so that we can get half of it, because half of a circle is a semicircle. Half of a circle is called a semicircle. So we can actually go ahead and do that. So it becomes what? We say semicircle, okay? Semicircle area, sorry, equals 616 divided by 2. And that's going to give us 308 centimeters square. Okay? Semicircle area, so centimeters square. Now, once we have that, then we can quickly go ahead and then use this formula to find the area of the. Okay, so we've established the formula. So I can state that what area of triangle equals half what? The base times what's the height. The base here, we have 14. This is the full triangle. If I should choose a different marker, this is the full triangle. Okay. So you can't say 14 is only the base. There's another 14 here because radius plus radius will give you the full length of the base, which represents what? The diameter. So 14 plus 14, which is what? Equal to 28 centimeters. So the base is actually 28 centimeters. By the height, since the height is from the center to the circumference of the circle, it is also the radius, which is also what? 14. Okay, so the height is 14. So if I should bring this here, what it means is that it's going to be half times 28 times what? 14. Okay, now this 2, since it's multiplication throughout, this 2 is going to cancel this to give us what? 14. Okay, so it's going to be 1 times 14 times what? 14. So 14 times 14 actually gives us 196, sorry, 196. So this is actually 196 centimeters square. Why square? Because it is also area of a triangle. Okay, so once we have that, it is actually now up to us to find this shaded region, this region over here. And this region is actually the whole semicircle. Okay, if I just take the area of the triangle away, whatever is left is the shaded region, the green region I'm shading right now. So if they say we should find the total area for the shaded region, it basically means that we need to do some form of subtraction. Okay, so I'll be doing more tutorials of relating to such questions, okay, which demands that we find area of a shaded region, especially the ones that has to do with football fields and all that. Okay, I'll be doing more tutorials on that next month. So please subscribe to the channel. It's very, very important so that when I upload those tutorials, you can have a go at it. So basically, that is what is going to happen. Now, for those shaded regions, we will have to do some form of subtraction. So we know that if you decide to do the subtraction, then you have to use the semicircle. So it becomes 308 minus 196. Okay, so 308 minus 196 will give us 112 centimeter square. Remember, we are still dealing with area because it said total area of the shaded region. So the unit is important because if you don't bring the unit, your work can be marked wrong, because 112 is not the same as 112 centimeters square. If you bring the centimeter and don't bring the square to it, it's still wrong because the centimeter alone can represent the circumference or the perimeter of the circle or the triangle or one side of the triangle or whatever. Okay, so that's one way to solve it. Another way to solve it is by just basically taking this formula. So it is half what pi r squared and solve it. So half, we know pi to be 22/7, and then we have 14 times what 14. Okay, so half two will cancel, 22 to give us 11, 7 will cancel this to give us how do you call it, 7. Okay, so 7 times 14 should give us 308. Okay, the 1 will multiply to still give us 308, and then you can go straight away to also find the area of the triangle, and then you do your subtraction. Okay, but I think if you do the circle and all those things, maybe the marking scheme will allow for extra marks in terms of that. I don't know, but it depends on you, and it depends on the time and how fast you are when it comes to some of these things. So if you know you are not fast, you take the shorter route, and then you should have an extra time to finish the other questions. So basically, this is how you solve such questions. So I'm going to go to the next screen. I'm going to do a drawing which will be similar to what we've done so far. And I'm expecting the answer this time in the comment section after the class. So after the class, kindly sit down and then solve the particular assignments that I have given so far. So far, I've given one which is related to the vectors, okay? And I'm giving this one too. So kindly solve that, and then how do you call it? Put the answer in the comment section, okay? Put the answer nicely. Don't just come and write there 1, 4, 5, 3, 6, 3, 7, 8. Okay, write it then nicely, because I'll be taking note of the names and the people who will be writing that. So this is what I want you to do. We have this. So this is actually a football field with a pond in between. Now the diameter for the pond is 14 centimeters. And then this is also 28 centimeters. We have A, B, C, and D. And they are saying that we should find the area of the shaded region. So please take note, it's not always going to be shaded region. They can say you should find the area of the non-shaded region. So the area of the non-shaded region will basically be anywhere that has not been shaded. Okay, but let me just break this down for you. The first shape, the first shape I drew was actually a rectangle. And then we have two semicircles. Those two semicircles coming together will form a circle. Now, the line which has been labeled 28 is the diameter of that semicircle. And remember, those two semicircles coming together will be forming what? A circle. So you can actually go straight ahead to find the area of a circle which has a diameter of 28. Then you also find the area of the rectangle. So I have to label this side, and that is 35 centimeters. Okay, so that is also going to help you. The 28 will now be the width, and then the 35 will be the length of what's the rectangle. You find that you add all of them, that will give you the broad picture. Then you also have to find the area of the small pond, the shaded one, the area of that small pond in it. And then when you find the area of that, sorry, it's supposed to be non-shaded region, the area of the non-shaded region, okay? The area of the non-shaded region, not the shaded region. Please take note, non-shaded region. So it means that you find this area, you have to subtract it from the big one to get the one that has not been shaded, okay? The area of the non-shaded region. So please take your time, solve this, and put your answer in the comment section. Okay, we have up to tomorrow morning at 7. I'm wondering who would be on YouTube to submit an answer at the comment section at 7 in the morning. So kindly do it this evening so that we, right after the class, just kindly submit it and you will be free. Okay. So we are going to move on. Someone is saying, can you send it? If I say if you send it, it means that my phone is going to be very full with a lot of images. Okay, so let's just do the comment section, but you can do it in a notebook so that when we meet, I can quickly go through and mark before we start our class for tomorrow. Okay, so this is another question, and when you pay attention to it, those who did the mock, this question are actually the questions you answered. So I'm actually helping you. I think that was mock paper B1 or so. Okay, so I'm actually helping you by solving some of that. So we want to look at this. This is actually under the topic, is under the topics change of subjects and substitution. Okay, that's the name Akiola gave it, change of subject and substitution. So we want to look at what to do. Okay, now this basically means that we've been given the values of the variables that are in that formula. And for those who can't see, the formula is S equals N all divided by 2, parenthesis, 2A plus into bracket N minus 1 D. Okay, and they are saying that A is equal to 3, and then D is equal to 4, and what? N is equal to 10. And they are saying we should find the value of what? S. The good thing is that finding the value of S, we don't have to do any change of subject because X is S, not X. S is already the subject. So all we need to do is to just do our substitution. So it basically means wherever I see N, I'm going to fix in 10. Wherever I see A, I'm going to fix in 3. Wherever I see B, I'm going to fix in 4. So let's dive deep into this. You don't have to do any expansion or anything. So the first thing, it will be 10 over 2 parenthesis 2 into bracket 3 plus into bracket 10 minus 1, and then we have 4 multiplied by 4. You close your parenthesis. So obviously we're going to start from the parenthesis, but if you want to start from the outside, this is not really board math. Okay, no matter how you start solving it from, since they are all numbers, you should get the answer, but I think you should use board math. So we'll do what is in the bracket first. So 10 over 2. Okay, just to practice board math. 10 over 2, this will give us 6 plus into bracket 9. We have 4. We'll close the bracket, and then we'll have 10 over 2, and then we'll have this being 6 plus what? 36. Yeah, 36. Okay, and then we'll have, now we can do let's finish the bracket. That will give us 42. Okay, so we'll have 10. We'll have 10 over 2, and then what? 42. Okay, and then let me move this here. Then we can now do the division, which will be 5, and then we'll have 42. Okay, so 5 times 42 will give us S being equal to, let me bring the X equal to X, S, not X. Okay, so that will give us 210. Okay, 210. So 5 times this will give us 20, and 5 times will give us 10. So that's what? 210. Okay, so S is equal to 210. Okay. So I'm going to write a similar thing as an assignment. So far we have 3 assignments to submit. So we have this beautiful formula I'm making up. F over what? 2x into bracket 4a minus into bracket f minus 1 plus x. Okay, and then where a equals 4, f equals 10, and then x equals 1. Okay, so we are saying that you should find the value of v. Find the value of what? V. You can actually complicate this by actually saying that you should find the value of x, or you should find the value of a before you even do the substitution. When if they, assuming they say you should find the value of x, it means they're not going to give you the value of x, but they will rather give you the value of what? V. Okay, so that's also another type. So we're going to move to question 12. Okay, in counting in relation to what we did last week, the next one is actually going to be our question 12. And our question 12 is actually about linear inequalities. So I want to use this to explain linear inequalities again, what you are supposed to, what you're expected to do, and how you should be able to illustrate your answer on a Venn diagram and what truth sets are. Okay, so for this linear inequalities, for those who can't see, let me just change the color so that the thing doesn't get boring. So for those who can't see, this is the question: 3 over 4 into brackets x plus what? 1 plus what? 1 less than or equal to 1 over 2 into bracket x minus 2 plus what? 5. Okay, and then they are saying that that's the I. They are also saying that we should illustrate our answer on the Venn diagram. I will add my own find the truth set, okay, of the linear inequalities there. Okay, so I'm going to give the answer. We are going to solve. We'll get the answer. We are going to put the answer in the truth set, and when we are done putting the answer in the truth set, what will happen is that we'll illustrate that answer on the Venn diagram. So without wasting time, we are going to dive deep into this. Now, this is a similar thing when we compare it to what? Linear equations, okay? The difference is that we are just using the linear inequality symbol, which is the less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to symbol, okay? Greedy crocodile. Now, the greedy crocodile here shows that what? This side of the inequality is bigger than the other side, okay? So what will happen is that we have to find the LCM because we have some denominators there that we don't want to work with. So we find the LCM. LCM for 4 and 2 is 4. Okay, so you can state that quickly so that you don't forget. So once we state that, let me change the color of the marker. We are going to use the LCM to multiply the number of terms we have. Okay, we're going to use the LCM to multiply the number of terms we have. So let's count the number of terms. So this whole thing is 110. Okay, this is also another 10. This whole thing is another 10. Then this is also another 10. So in all, we have 4 different terms here. Okay, so this 4 is going to multiply all the 4 terms we have. Okay. So now what it means is that it's going to be 4, 3 over 4. The 4 is multiplying x plus what? 1. And then we have plus 4, should be in bracket to show that it's multiplying less than or equal to 4. Okay, 1 over 2 x minus 2. Then plus what? 4 multiplying 5. So the 4, for illustration's sake, we are not supposed to cancel, but for illustration's sake, we're going to cancel this 4, we'll get rid of this 4, this 2, get rid of this 4 to become 2, so that that denominator goes away. That's all. That we just need to get rid of the denominators, and we've done that super duper. So the next thing is that 3 into brackets x plus 1, and then plus what? 4. We just multiply quickly, and then we have this 2 multiplying 1 to give us 2, so x minus 2, and then what? 20. Okay, once we have that, we are going to expand, so this will give us 3x plus 3 plus what? 4 less than or equal to 2x minus positive negative give us negative 4. 2 times 2, 4. Okay, and then we have 20. So the next thing we need to do is to simplify the numbers, and then we group like it. So this will give us 3x. This will give us plus 7. Plus 7, and then we'll go ahead negative. You owe 4 CDs, but you have 20 CDs. So when you pay, you have 16 CDs left. We're going to group like terms. So 3x, the 2 is positive, the 2x is positive, so to come here to subtract. Then we have 16, the 7 here is positive, so to come here to subtract. This will give us 9. This will give us 1. You can just write a 1x, or you just write x. So this is x. So someone will say, so when you actually change the sign, you change the sign, assuming this was, let's assume that this was, we are assuming, please take note, we are assuming that this was negative 2x minus 3. It means that when we solve it, x will become negative. Once x is negative, this sign is supposed to change, okay? So it's supposed to change to face x. Once you have the variable becoming negative, you need to change the direction of the sign, okay? So let me clean that. I think I made that explanation clear. So let me clean that so that no one gets confused with it. Okay, so once I've established that, the next thing is to write truth set, even though it is not even part of the question. I want us to go over it. So truth set starts with what? Curly brackets. You identify the variables that are given in it, and it is x, and then start that, so you bring your column, and then it will be what? The answer. So x is what? Less than or equal to 9. Then you close your curly bracket. So that's actually truth set. Marks are awarded for this specific thing. So if you are doing it and it is demanded, please ensure you do it. Oftentimes when I mark scripts, exam scripts from students, they forget to do that. All they are in a hurry to do is to do this and go and do the number line. And maybe there's 3 marks or 5 marks attached to just the truth set, because the examiners know that most students forget that. So they think that they just rush to do the number line. So please take note. If they say you should find the truth set, please, this is what you need to do, not the answer. The answer is not the truth set. Okay, so we've established the truth set, and then we are quickly going to illustrate, because the II tells us that we should illustrate. So with illustration, we are just going to draw a number line. Please don't go and do this. You put 0 here, then you do 1, 2, 3. Then you do -1, -2, -3. Please don't do that. Okay, if a teacher told you to do that, please unlearn that, because at the end of the day, if you are drawing a number line with intervals, the spaces between the number lines are supposed to be equal. Okay, the spaces between the number lines are supposed to be equal. So one thing that can give you an accurate number line is the graph sheet. But in this case, you're not going to be given the graph sheet to draw that number line. So all you need to do is to take a closer look at the number that the variable is being linearly compared to. Okay, the number that the variable is being compared to linearly. Take note of that, and you're just going to write a positive form and a negative form of that particular number. So this is actually not accurate. No one should do this. Okay, so if you do this, then what happens if you have maybe your answer to be maybe 2 whole number 1/2? Then you find yourself wanting, you don't know how to draw the number line. So this is how you do the number line. Basically, just draw a number line. You know the middle of the number line is 0. Look at your answer. The answer there is 9. So you write the positive form of the answer, then you write the negative form of the answer. Now look at the arrow, the symbol. This is how the symbol is looking like. If I should put this here and I decide to draw an arrow from it, the direction is facing the left. Okay, the answer is positive. So we are just going to go onto the positive, draw a circle, then we'll do our arrow to face to the left. Okay, once we do that, then we'll go ahead. Is there a bar under the symbol? Yes, so we have to shape the circle. Okay, so that's what you do. So please, no one should go and label the intervals, and then, because you can't get it accurate. If you are labeling the interval for the number line, then you have to use a ruler or a graph sheet to do that. So please, let's take note and ensure that we do the one in the yellow, not the one in the green. So I'm just going to take the red pen. Some of you are visual learners, so I'll take the red pen and mark that correct. But the top one, not. Now, oftentimes to students, I don't know what's wrong with them. They go and then they draw the thing on a 0. Okay, you only draw on a 0 when your answer is equal to 0. Okay, when your answer is equal to 0. I've not really seen any linear inequality being equal to 0. Okay, being equated or solved to get 0 as an answer. Okay, so let's please take note of that and then do that correction. So basically, that's, I'm not going to give an assignment related to this. Okay, I'm not going to give an assignment related to this, but what I'll plead with you to do is that if you have an issue with linear inequalities, kindly solve this question over and over again. And the next one is actually mapping. Okay, we have to find a rule for the given mapping here, and there are several things that you are to apply when it comes to the rule for the given mapping. Okay, now when it comes to the rule for the given mapping, we have a method called the exponential mapping method, and we have the linear mapping method. I have a video on mapping, so I am going to give this to you as an assignment. if you have an issue with mapping, kindly watch that video and then try this question, because I don't want to write a question to you. But let's find out if this is an exponential mapping or a linear mapping. Let me just quickly explain what an exponential mapping is and what a linear mapping is. Now, with exponential mapping, what it means is that the intervals of the y value are not the same. Okay, so when we look at it, 4 minus 1 should give us what? 3. When we take this, 9 minus 4 will give us 5. So you realize that it is increasing. 16 minus 9 will give us, what will it give us? 7. So you realize that it is increasing, okay? So with this one, you are to use exponential methods of solving this way. You have to use exponential method of solving it. The s is always going to be the same with the same interval. 2 minus 1, 1. 3 minus 2, 1. 4 minus 3, 1. 5 minus 4, 1. But it is the y that will indicate whether it is a linear mapping or exponential mapping. Okay, so please go to my channel before you even go and look for that mapping. Subscribe to the channel. It is very, very important because I have a huge tutorial coming up. As I said last week, it is coming up. I'm cooking it. So subscribe to the channel, like this video also. Go through my playlist. I think I should have a playlist on mapping. Watch that video into details, and then it will explain what exponential mapping is, what linear mapping is. Once it explains that, come back to this question and then solve it. Okay, so this is actually an assignment. I'll be expecting the answer in the comment section. Okay, so try and do that. Please, please, please try and do that. We are here to learn, so let us not be lazy and actually learn. We're going to move to the next question. So that's the assignment anyway. Now the next question actually is, they are saying that the circumference of a circle is 440 meters. Yes, we are not expecting any square because circumference is actually the same as the perimeter of what? A circle. Okay, they are saying that we should find the area of the circle, and then we should take pi to be 22/7. So we are going to write two important formulas down. The first one is actually a formula for finding the circumference. Circumference of what? Of a circle. Okay, and that is 2 pi r. And then the next one is area of what? A circle, which is what? Pi r squared. Okay, so you realize that area has what? A unit square. Then the formula for finding the area of a circle also has a square. So you link it. Anytime you are confused, look for the one that has a square. The one that has a square is for the area. The one without the square is for what? The circumference. And I said that the circumference is the same as the perimeter of the circle. Okay, so the goal here is that why are they even giving you the circumference? They are giving you the circumference because when it comes to circumference and area of a circle, you need one major thing. Pi is always provided. Okay, pi is always provided. So when we look at the things that have not been provided, or one thing that has not been provided, it is what? The radius. The radius has not been provided, but pi has been provided, which is what? 22/7. So if we are going to be using pi, with the help of pi and then the other components of the formula, we can easily decipher the value of the radius. So we personally say that if they are saying that the circumference of the circle is equal to 440, it means this 440 is actually equal to this formula. Okay, so we are going to say 440 equals to pi r. Okay, remember the goal here is to find the radius so that we can fix the radius into the area formula to solve. Okay, so 2 pi r. Now we'll have 440 equals 2 times what? 22/7. Someone will say, where did you get the 22/7 from? Pi is a constant, which is 22/7, or the decimal form is what? 3.148 blah blah blah. But your level mostly they'll give you 22/7. If they give you 3.14 blah blah blah, you should use that. Don't go and use 22/7 because it will give you some decimal difference. Okay, so then r. Remember, this is actually how do you call it? Dividing. So what will happen here is that we will send this, because it's multiplication throughout, we can actually send this to go and multiply it since it is divided. So it becomes, don't be in a hurry to cancel or do anything or multiply. Arrange them nicely. So this will be 7 equals 22 times what? 2. Remember, I can write 22 times 2 or 2 times 22 because multiplication is what? Commutative times what they are. Then I can now multiply this. This will give me 44 times what are. And I have 440 times what? 7. Then this 44 is multiplying the r. So when it goes to this side, it's going to divide. So we'll have r equal 440 times 7 divided by 44. And then we can actually cancel. 44 going to itself and 44 going to 441 times. So it becomes 10 times what? The 0 there is added to the 1 to give us 10. So 10 times 7 equals what? R. Okay. So R is now going to give us what? 10 centimeters. So our R is actually 10 centimeters. Hey, sorry, 70 centimeters. Because it's 10 times 7. 70, our R is 70 centimeters. Once we've taken note of that, it is now up to us to pick this R and fix it into this formula to solve for the area. So the formula for finding the area is pi r squared. So what it means is that 22 over 7 times 70 times what? 70. Okay? This 7 will cancel this to give us 10. So we'll have 210 times what? 70. Okay, because the 10 times 22 will give us 200. So now we are going to multiply. So 220 and then 70. This will give us 0, this will give us 0, this will give us 0, this will give us 0 also, this will give us 14, 1, this will give us 14 plus this. So 0, 0, 4, 5, 1. Okay, 0, 0, 4, 5, 1. There's no decimal anywhere, so we'll just write centimeters. Was it meters? Was it meters or centimeters? It was meters, so pardon me, this is supposed to be in meters. Okay, so meters, meter squared. Okay, meter squared. So that is it for this particular question. I think we'll take the last one and then we'll call it a day and continue. So no assignment on this one because you have 3 assignments already. Remember, you are supposed to submit it via the comment section. Okay, so yes, so this one is actually the question of the day. This is actually the question of the day. So I'm going to leave it with you. It says that the hypotenuse and a side of a right-angled triangle are 13 centimeters and 15 centimeters respectively. Find the length of the third side. Let me just solve this and then we'll close. Okay. So a right-angled triangle basically is an angle that has one of its is a triangle that has one of its angles to be 90 degrees. You know a triangle has 3 sides. Okay, so when we have a right-angled triangle, then it means that one of the 3 angles in the triangle is 90 degrees. Okay, so that makes it a right-angled triangle. Now we have parts of what the right-angled triangle. Okay, so if the angle at the base here helps us to identify the parts of this triangle. So this side is called the opposite, this side is called the hypotenuse, and this side is called the adjacent. Okay. I think I have a tutorial on this, so you can look for it on YouTube. If I don't have it, then I'll be posting it later someday. Okay, so basically we have this. Now they are saying that the hypotenuse at one side, okay, it could be the adjacent, it could be the opposite, but we have certain formulas that we use, okay, to solve this. Now the basic formula is Pythagoras theorem, which says that a squared c squared, c being the hypotenuse, equals a squared plus what? B squared. Okay, if I should label this is a, b, c. Okay, so it means that ac, okay, line ac squared equals bc squared plus what? A, b squared. What it means is that if I add, this is my hypotenuse, so my hypotenuse is the square of my hypotenuse is equal to what? The square of my adjacent plus the square of my opposite. Okay, anyone can come first, the opposite can come first, the adjacent can come first, because what? Addition is commutative, so anyone can come first. But remember, the most important thing is the square, to remember the square. So now they are saying the hypotenuse is 13. The word respectively means that the hypotenuse is what? 13, and the other side is what? 5. Okay, So if hypotenuse is 13, we are going to put 13 here, and it is actually 13 squared. We are not supposed to bring that back. So let's bring a bracket instead. And then we'll have, how do you call it? So let's just choose one of them to be the side. So 5 squared plus what? Let's say AB squared. So you're going to group like this. So this will be 13 squared minus 5 squared equals AB squared. Okay. So 13 squared, what is 13 squared? 13 squared, I think 169 or so. Okay. 169. Let's just do 13. So this will give us 9. This will give us 3. This will give us 3. And this will give us 1. Okay, so this will be 169, as I said. So 169, and then this will be 25 equals what? AB. Okay, when we do the subtraction, we get 144. Okay, and then this will be square. Okay, so remember the squares are gone. Now we have this. If I should write this, well, it is AB line AB squared equals what? 144. It is AB that we want because AB actually represents what? One side. So what it means is that we need to find a way to get rid of this square root. To get rid of this square. I've even given the answer. To get rid of this square, so that to apply that, we have to apply a square root. Okay? You have to apply a square root on both sides. So this one will be a square root. This square will cancel the square root. So we'll now have A, the length A, B, and the square root of 144. Now, take note. If 144 is not a perfect square, the square root stays. But if it is a perfect square, then you have to write the number that will multiply itself to give us the 144. And I think that number is 12. Okay, so 12 times 12 will give us 144. So the other length is 12, which is going to give us 12 centimeters. Okay, as a length, so you're not supposed to bring any square or anything. So thank you very much. Please subscribe to my channel. That's the only way you can say thank you to me. Subscribe, click on the bell icon. Don't just subscribe, click on the bell icon, because anytime I upload videos, you'll be the first to get it. And I am going to split these videos into pieces and upload them over the week. So last week's videos have been split into pieces and they have been uploaded. So I don't have to go through all the 1 hour video and all that. Those ones, you go through those ones when maybe it's time for exams or something. So please subscribe to the channel so that when I upload those videos, anytime it goes live, you get a notification and then you watch it there to get the understanding. I'm doing this so that you can have constant content to learn with. Thank you very much. And one thing I want to also add from you is that basically, you have friends and family members who are also candidates. They are also going to write exams. You can actually talk to them about this class. This class is not only pertaining to the HS school students, it's for everyone, SHS, JHS, because what I'm teaching is basically, I don't teach just the surface, I go deep, so the SHS people can also enjoy. So if you have a sibling, if you have a friend, if you have a church member, if you have anything, if you are in groups, you have friends, share the link to them anytime the link is ready on Saturday or Sunday, so that they can also be here. Okay, brotherly love is very, very important. We should love one another. So kindly do that for them so that they can also learn with you, so that when you all succeed in life, they will really appreciate it and say, oh, this guy actually connected me to my teacher online, and Charlie, I was able to score the mark. Thank you very much for being here, and see you next week, same time, 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. we had about 35 students or 30 students. Since you are going to spread the word, kindly talk to other people. So next week, I'm expecting about 50 students or 60 students here. Everyone should talk to one person that is not in your school to join you. Okay? It could be the person being in Form 2, because some of the topics we'll be talking about will be Form 2 topics, especially now that HS school people have a mock which is related to Form 2. I'll be doing Form 2 topics. So please, let's try and do that and help others as we grow the channel. Thank you very much and have a nice day. I'll be expecting the comments in the chat section. As in, I'll be expecting the answers to the assignments in the chat section. Bye-bye.